we're going to bring Gary back up here. So.
Thank you. Now, first an update on the next issue of Broadside. It's coming along pretty well. I got to see the page group of my own article, but there's plenty of room for more material. So if you have a piece you'd like to see published in Broadside, could be a story, could be a poem for my account section, but feel free and you're strongly encouraged to submit your material to, I believe it's broadsidepublishing@gmail.com. Now, as for the piece I'll be reading tonight, this is a piece of personal history. After the Uncommon Sense folded, I was encouraged to submit material to your magazine, which the Flint Journal published. They like the material, so I'm going to read, now this is from February 2008. This was the very first piece I wrote for your magazine. And because of the changes since this piece was written, I can easily rewrite this story for use in my next book. It's about a landmark, which is now Blackstone's Pub. In fact, let's see, first, Jenny, if you can zoom in on this ad over here. Let me know when you got it.
Yeah, right in there.
Okay, that's an ad for the very first show at the State Theater from 1924. Now this is a double bill, but the main feature was a silent movie called Kay the Unknown, which is basically a love triangle drama. In fact, I read the story based upon what I saw in this ad. Now, how low did the State Theater wind up when it closed in 1952? This was the double bill. Basically, a double bill of two B movies re-released. Got that, Jenny?
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's an architectural drawing of the State Theater. Note it's a 6-story building. Now I'll describe it more in the story.
It's tilted.
A reading tower.
All right.
Okay, got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's hard to
Judging from the movies on the marquee, this photo was taken in 1935. Now, 10 years later, in 1945, sorry about this, was taken from a printed page, but note that the Strand Theater's marquee was updated, but not the State Theater's. I'll go past these so you can see these up close. Okay, you can zoom back out, and I'll pass these images around.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to have to move this back down because I can't control it very well here. There's no way I can get the...
And now I'll read the piece, which is
Well, when Ollie
which is a little outdated now, but still a fascinating read. It's called If Blackstone's Walls Could Talk. The Mont Block development, along with the new Wade Trim building under construction, also involves renovating the older buildings on the block of Saginaw Street south of Mount Foundation Building downtown. One significant building is the 2-story Blackstone's building next to the Wade Trim building, but Blackstone's was once a grander and larger building. The front facade of Blackstone's is 2 stories. Actually, it's one tall 1-story. But the back facade is 3 stories with signs that it was once taller. That's because it was once the 6-story Buckingham Theater, which housed the State Theater. The State Theater was built in 1924 by pioneering local theater owner Lester Matt on the site of his Orpheum Theater, which was built in 1913 by Louis and Frank Buckingham. Matt, who began leasing the Orpheum in 1919, also owned the Strand Theater, 2 buildings up the block from the State, where the Commerce Center building is today. Vintage postcards of downtown Flint often show both the Strand and State Theaters. The State Theater opened for the first time at noon on February 24th, 1925. The grand opening display ad in the Flint Journal proclaimed that the State was positively a fireproof building equipped with the most modern theater equipment. It had good light effects, a gold fiber screen which did not harm the eyes, and touted perfect ventilation at all times. It It served bubbling ice-cold water from a 250-foot well. Between the main floor and the large balcony, the state had a seating capacity of 1,150. As the state opened in the era of silent movies, they were accompanied by an 8-piece orchestra and the theater was equipped with a pipe organ. The first film to play at the state was the romantic mystery Kay the Unknown, starring Virginia Valley and Percy Merriman. Along with the theater, there were 2 small storefronts on either side of the lobby. The theater's basement housed a barbershop and a store. Above the lobby, there were offices served by stairs and an elevator, with the top floor occupied by a ballroom. Matt also owned 2 neighborhood theaters, the Roxy at 1409 Broadway on the east side, and the Della at 807 Welch Boulevard on the west side. Matt sold his theaters to the dominant theater chain, W.S. Butterfield Theaters. With the coming of television in the 1950s, the marginal theaters began closing one by one. One of the first to close was the State in 1952, which was reduced to showing double features of re-released B-movies. The final double feature played at the State on February 24th, 1952, exactly 27 years after the first opening. The films were Werewolf of London, a 1935 film starring Henry Hall and Valerie Hobson, and Phantom of Paris was originally titled Mystery of Marie Roget, a 1942 film starring Maria Montez and Patrick Knowles. As the opening and closing dates were exactly the same, the impression was given that Butterfield Theaters lost its lease on the State Theater. The State's marquee was never updated, unlike the Strand, as shown in later photos of the State. When the State opened in 1925, admission was 40 cents for the main floor, 30 cents for balcony seating, and 10 cents for children. When the theater closed in 1952, admission was 40 cents for adults and 14 cents for children. The State's admission prices weren't really affected by inflation. Almost immediately upon closing, demolition crews went to work chopping off the top 5 floors of the theater, and the building was converted entirely into retail space. The Winkleman's clothing store took over the building in 1953, but the left storefront was kept for Gums Jewelers, which stayed in place during the partial demolition. Winkleman's was part of the exodus from downtown Flint to the new suburban malls by 1970. The Blackstone's men's clothing store took over in 1970. Gums Jewelers closed in 1971. By 1976, Harry Hopkins Jewelry took over the Gums space, but was only in business for a couple of years. In 1980, a U.S. Army recruiting office took over the small storefront, but the Army moved out by 1985. Oldie Discount Stockbrokers took over that space by 1987. After Blackstone's closed the downtown store in around 1987, it became mainly storage space. Oldies left the building for Linden Road around 1991. The building had been vacant ever since. The architectural drawing for the Montblanc shows the Blackstone building with a facade similar to the original facade of the Strand Theater. Before that facade was enlarged and given a new facade in 1919. This facade would give some people hope that the building could be used for entertainment again. Obviously, that did not really happen. But the 1952 renovations made using this space, the theater again, impractical without expensive changes. Former Blackstone's owner Everett Osher recalls that the space had no second floor, just a high ceiling with a clear span with no internal columns. Uptown Development's project developer, Ridgeway White, foresees the flexible space being used for entertainment-oriented retail or a restaurant which could offer entertainment. Well, the latter became true at Blackstone Pub. With downtown residential housing now in place or under construction, as well as the new University of Michigan Flint dormitory being built, there is great potential for an entrepreneur to redevelop the Blackstone's building. The building would get great exposure as the adjacent Wade Trim building will have a high-profile tenant in WNEM TV5, which is moving its Flint offices to the ground floor with plate glass windows along Saginaw Street so passers-by can view newscasts being produced. And obviously, as an afterword, you know about Blackstone's Pub. Of course, if you've been inside Blackstone's Pub, you know that not only did they keep the Blackstone sign on the front, that Hart Schaffner Mark sign, which was on the front, you can see that inside the restaurant. And if you look closely at the bare walls, you can see bits and pieces of what the State Theater originally had. So that's my piece, and as I said, I'll be rewriting this piece for a follow-up book to give the updates. Thanks to making revisions, I can get around the the copyrights, of course, anything that I published in your magazine, the Flint Journal owns the copyright. So anything that's static, I'm kind of stuck with not using, but anything I can rewrite, I can reuse. So that's my contribution for this month, and I thank you very much.
Well, that's what you all came here for. I'm gonna get this like double billed as a comedy show one day. I'm just gonna keep doing this, being persistent. You guys having a good week so far? Yeah, now we're about halfway through. Yeah, I don't know. Mine's already been ruined though. I can call this a bad week, I guess. I lost my favorite pair of sunglasses earlier this week. And it's really just ruined the rest of the thing for me. I'm pretty depressed about it. I know you guys are thinking like, yeah, that's a pretty goofy reason to be depressed. You know what they say about sunglasses. You shouldn't get too attached to them, because you're just gonna lose them after a couple of months, just like your friends. But I really like those sunglasses. Starting off hot, yes. Hot, yes. Just like pizza, right? That's a good transition. Pizza's hot sometimes. Sometimes pizza's too hot though, because you can't really get, like when pizza's too hot, you can't do anything with it. You can't eat it, you blister your mouth. And you can't cut it either, because if you cut a hot pizza too soon, it's just like fighting the bad guy from Terminator 2. You know, that cheese just melts right back together. Just like that liquid metal cop guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually used to deliver pizzas as a job. I know you guys probably weren't expecting that, as I don't look the type, but I did. I delivered pizzas for a restaurant in Flint called Michelangelo's. Maybe you guys had me deliver some stuff to your house before. No, the restaurant closed, and I didn't really work there long. I quit the job pretty quickly after realizing it was not a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle themed restaurant. I thought that was pretty bogus to name a pizzeria Michelangelo's and not have the shredder working in the back of the kitchen. It's false advertising. That's my last job I ever had in food service though, and I hope I can keep it that way, because food service is like the worst job you can have. Like, does anyone here work food service? Do you know? It's like, the customers are impossible to please. You can never make people happy when it comes to their food. And even though like I don't work at a food service job, I still get in frequent arguments with other customers when I'm at a food service location. Like earlier today, I was waiting in line at the fast food joint, and the guy in front of me tried to special order his cheeseburger. I know that doesn't sound weird, but I don't mean he asked for like no lettuce. Like this guy tried to order his burger specialty cooked. He was like, I want the double bacon burger, medium rare. And then the cashier was like, huh? Like they were looking for buttons, they didn't know what was going on. And I had to be the one to step up and be like, hey dude, I don't know if you know, but you're at a Rally's. Like, medium rare means still frozen in the middle. I think you're asking a little too much from a place that makes you stand outside to order. A combo of $6. You'll be happy if there's 2 buns on it. Just... That's been going pretty good. I'm gonna get it over with though. I like to end on a high note, you know, something that makes me happy. Like abortion. Are you guys big fans? It makes me, I'm a big fan. Mostly, not for a bad reason, it's mostly just because I hate babies. I think they're disgusting and I don't like being around them, so anything that brings fewer babies around me, I'm bound to love. But I also am a big fan of abortion because I think it's a good way to keep people that maybe never wanted to be on this earth off of this earth. It's a much better solution than suicide, you know? Suicide bums everybody out. You don't want your family coming home, finding you all naked and blue in the bathtub. It's gonna bum out their whole week. So I think abortion is like a way better way to take care of that. And it could be really fun too. Like if we had found a way to do self-abortion, it's kind of like suicide, except you can have fun with it. It'll be like Back to the Future. You hop in the DeLorean with Doc Brown, except instead of going back in time to like get your parents together, you just like pay Biff $20 to punch your mother in the stomach as hard as he can. I thought that joke was fun. All right, if you guys want to see more of this, and I can tell you do, I am at the Flint local next Friday, the 30th, and I will be at Latina's Restaurant on Bristol Road the 31st. So come pay money to see this all over again. You guys have a good night.
One more time for Seth. All right, check out the locals comedy nights Thursdays, the once a month thing. Yeah, okay. Is it Friday or Thursday? I thought it was Thursdays.
I think we changed this one to a Friday.
Okay.
Yes, it's Friday.
Check it out local. They got their comedy night thing going. All right. Enjoy. Cool, we're gonna bring Brian Pobocik up here, regular, playing some songs that he wrote. Yeah! So please give it up for Brian.
Yeah, because I couldn't, it was like this and I couldn't, I kept making it like mess up.
Before I get started, I thought I'd reference, once again, I don't know all the details, but Creative Alliance is going to go with a songwriter contest, and the sole theme is Flint, and you can go anywhere you want with that theme and perform a song about Flint. And I believe we will have at least one contestant tonight. It won't be me tonight, but somewhere down the line I will contribute. But the other condition is, in order for you to qualify for this, is you have to be filmed. You have to be take part of this this particular open mic. And the details I'm fuzzy on.
So are we.
Oh, okay, so maybe I shouldn't go any further than that.
No.
I'm gonna try something a little different than what I usually perform. Only because this is the only time I ever tried to write a song like this.
Are you plugged in?
No, I'm not. I assumed that was set. Oh, guess what? I don't need to memorize the words for this. Okay, this is a song about a big old party. I came to your house unannounced, nobody was home, thought of heading back south. Halfway to my car, you opened the door. Imagine my surprise when I saw what you wore. Half undressed, your hair a mess. You said it got that way cause you stayed out late. Invited me in like some expected guest. You said your parents were away, they were out of the state. And nothing but evil can come of this. My mind and body are separated from the mist. With a mind that's pure and a body unsure, it's all I can do to keep from stir. And nothing but evil can come of this. It was noon o'clock and the place was rocking. Invited everybody from the whole damn block. A lot of weird people, a lot of weird hair. Weird dancing and music and smells filled the air. Neighbors got mad, started to complain, so your friends tied him down to the fence. things got bad when it started to rain, but he never did complain again. And nothing but evil can come of this. My mind and body are separated from the mist. With a mind that's pure, a body unsure, it's all I can do to keep from stirring. Nothing but evil can come of this. It was nightfall when things calmed down. Most your friends left, though a few were around. Somebody suggested that we go to the lake. Should have protested, cause it was a mistake. Full carload, we hit the road. We made it to the lake in an hour or so. After a while, we threw our clothes in a pile. How we made it back home, well, I'll never know. And nothing but evil can come of this. My mind and body are separated from the mist. With a mind that's pure, a body unsure, it's all I can do to keep from stirring. Nothing but evil can come of this. Was the next morning and your parents were due. The place was a mess and so were you. But you picked up the phone to call some more friends. I said no, I couldn't take it again. Half undressed, your hair a mess. You just looked at me and you started to cry. I took your hand to give you comfort. You stared at me with those two big eyes. Those two big eyes. Those two big eyes. And nothing but evil can come of this. My mind and body are separated from the mist. With a mind that's pure, a body unsure, it's all I can do to keep from stirring. Nothing but evil can come of this. Change up just a little and perform this one. Are you directly back there, Jenny?
Yeah.
Okay. That light is really bright. Did you notice
Yeah,
that?
it's glaring on you
Gary?
too. I think it's.
The light was bright?
It didn't bother me when I was reading.
Okay.
Want me to turn, well,
No, that's fine.
It's making him
I'll work
all
with you.
white
You don't
and
have to
it's
worry about me.
reflecting
I'm a
his
pro.
eyes. I mean, from this, I don't know if it's like over there.
Oh, stop it already. It's
I
fine.
think it's bright. See how it's making him all white in the video? It's
Whoa.
glaring.
sorry. Picture solid or out of your
No, I don't know that it would matter if I'm up there or not.
Yeah.
It's just glaring at me.
Well, you had to write one of those type of songs, and I had to get it out of my system. I wrote that when I was about 19 years old, so
There we
30
go.
years ago.
Is that? Oh, but I can see him really good in here though. And I can see it, he's flesh colored again instead of white.
All right. So I wrote this song,
Yeah, I mean the
Well,
live
the laundry.
performance should be the.
and then
See, before he was
Conclusion,
white
I don't
looking,
wanna
like
go
everything was
walking
reflecting
ever
off of him.
I'm worried about the nuts.
so I went out and dug into my pocket and bought me a washer and dryer. But the good thing about the laundromat was I got a song out of
I think
it.
it's much more solved.
I haven't really done this song without it.
Oh, it was just glaring off of him, shining off of him. Now look at his flesh colored head.
I was mad as hell. Darkness held me in a curse. I was caught up in a storm with the clouds about to burst. And I shut out the whole said, you know, I've been watching you lately, and I can tell you're quite angry, angry as a man can be, but all you control in this world is your soul. So who died and made you me? In the grip of darkness, my heart was aching. He showed me how it was of my own making, and I felt reborn. My heart was made to rejoice, 'cause I was taken aback. I couldn't run from the fact that night that I heard your voice. He said, you know, I've been watching you lately, and I can tell you're quite angry, angry as a man can be, but all you control in this world is your soul. So who died and made you me? You know, I've been watching you lately, and I can tell you're quite angry, angry as a man, angry as a man can be, but all you control in this world is your soul. Who died and made you me? I'm not sure how this one's gonna work out, but Skinner, man. No.
Go for it.
I don't really know any of their songs.
I don't either. Give me back my bullets. Lay down.
Do what?
You know any skin crew? I'm just messing with
No, I don't know any skin. Give me 2 steps, baby. I know 1 or 2 lines from their songs, but I don't know.
Give me 2 steps, mister.
So you know more of that than I do. I don't know where I want to go with the capo on this song. Curse the wind as it shatters my senses, left exposed without any defenses, weaving sculptures with your sorrows into shapes of false tomorrows. And you're right, I don't understand you, but that don't mean that I don't want to. Oh, Terry, I can see the clouds gather, and though you're still smiling, I can tell that you would rather return to your island, return to your island. And I can smell the perfume of 1,000 dreams, consumed by 1,000 awakenings, and the heart of a wounded child, left alone on her own in the wild, reaching out, feeling well the need, and then drawing back like some timid breed. Oh, Terry, strong, timid breed. And you're right, I don't understand you, but that don't mean that I don't want to. I can see the clouds gather, and though you're still smiling, I can tell you would rather return to your island, return to your island. All right, thank you guys very much.
Now to talk about the
To my soul.
Oh, wow, I should have said it.
Okay, we were having a contest to find a Flint song, and so what we wanted to do is, if you have a Flint song and you'd like to enter the contest, all you have to do is play the song at Collab Nite sometime between now and May of 2015. And then probably like in June, we'll have some kind of an event where we let a popular vote, probably, I don't know, pick the song, which one they like the best. And what we do for sure with that, I'm not sure. Ken offered that we could, would you say the winner could, how did you want to phrase that? So
could get a recording contract with Ken Engineering Studios, is that what I'm
okay,
talking about?
there we go.
Yeah. So,
yeah, and then great. And then I mean, some people really would just like to be able to have a place to record a song because they don't have the equipment. So that would be great. And then also, I was going to call some of the radio stations. I don't know. I'm just going to try to see what I can put together between now and May of 2015. So we might have more prizes as we go along here, but we're just trying to build up steam and attention. Yeah. So, but anyway, if you have a Flint song, come on, and bring it. Collab Nite, sometime between now and May 15, or May of 2015.
Made some changes. Jenny's sitting way down there. I'm used to Jenny being right here. I don't know if she felt unsafe up here, but with the rest of us, did you have some close calls or something, Jenny?
Well, you know.
And Jenny was encouraging me to write something in regard to the Flint, city of Flint experience or what have you. And you know, you have to include some negativity. I mean, you got to be real. When we talk about Flint, it's not Fort Lauderdale or something, but
Keep it real.
let me bring this up, but I don't know if it's even coming through. So anyway, I wrote something to put this together. I didn't know we had a whole year to do this. I was hustling to get this together.
Submit a
At
second.
any rate, by the time this contest or whatever it is ends, this will be long forgotten. So I could. Let me preface this by saying Flint's been called, we can't mention everything. Buick City, Gary knows a lot about this. The Vehicle City, murder capital of the world. But I just call it Flint Town. Here to tell you about Flint Town. Well, it's here to stay. Talking about Flint Town, we ain't going away. We took some real hard licks, but we still got some kick. Right, Ryan? Well, they shut down the shops and the factories, sent all that work way overseas. We got drugs and punks and burned out homes, but these people stand tough and they ain't standing alone. I said Flint Town. Well, it's here to stay. You know Flint Town, we ain't going away. Firefighters too, the city council members and the manager too. Raise the taxes, close the schools, kick us to the curb. We ain't nobody's fool. Talking about Flint Town. Well, it's here to stay. the way I wrote it. Well, they can lay off the cops, firefighters too, the city council members and the manager too. Raise the taxes, close the school, kick us to the curb, but we ain't nobody's fool. It's Flint town. We're here to stay. Well, they can knock us to the floor. We just come back for more. Well, they can knock us to the floor. We're kind of like old Chuck Norris. We just come back for more. Flint town. Thank you. Thank you. That was a new piece for me, so you don't always have it together, but Jenny's back there rolling, so.
Yeah, good job.
No, thank you.
Got a winner here. Play, Don't Think Twice is alright.
You know, I know that one, but that's, you should do that one. I've heard you up here.
I haven't remembered all the lyrics.
Well, that's how I am. If I don't have it, I do so many songs that if I don't have it with me. This guy here, you're kind of into country, right?
A
So,
little old country.
okay,
roots country.
how about,
Conway Twitty.
let's see, how about Charlie Daniels? You familiar with
I
him?
like Charlie Daniels.
Okay. Charlie Daniels is a country singer. He's really popular probably in the 70s and 80s, I would say that era. And he's known more for the fiddle playing. He's a good guitar player as well. But he did a song called Long-Eared Country Boy. I'm going to do that next. Charlie Daniels is a very outspoken person and doesn't care about being politically correct.
He's a medical marijuana supporter.
Yeah, he's that too. And he's for hanging people that misbehave and things like that. But he's entitled to his opinion. And usually when you see Charlie Daniels performing, he's got a big old wad of Bowl of the Woods or some kind of chew up in there. And
That's why
I
Ryan
wouldn't recognize
likes
him without that. Anyway, he did this Long-Haired Country Boy. A typical country type song, and I like that stuff. Some folks say that I'm lazy, crazy as a loon. 'Cause I get stoned in the morning, I get drunk in the afternoon. Kinda like my old blue tick hound, I like to lay around in the shade. I ain't got much of nothing, but I damn sure got it made. I ain't asking nobody for nothing, I can't get it on my own. You don't like the way that I'm living, leave this long-haired country boy alone. Right. Preacher man talking on the TV, putting down the rock and roll. Wants me to send a donation, 'cause he's worried about my soul. He said Jesus walked on the water, I know that it's true. But sometimes I think that preacher man, I like to do a little walking too. You don't like the way that I'm living, leave this long-haired country boy alone. A poor girl wants to marry, a rich girl wants to flirt. A rich man goes to college, a poor man goes to work. A drunkard wants another drink of wine, a politician just wants to vote. I don't want much of nothing at all, but I will take another toke. And I ain't asking nobody for nothing, come on. I can't get it on my own. They don't like the way that I'm living, leave this long-haired country boy alone. I ain't asking nobody for nothing, if I can't get it on my own. You don't like the way that I'm living, leave this long-haired country boy alone.
Sure.
Out in the pier.
You do that one?
We do it around a campfire. My buddy plays it.
All right.
We always do, oh shoot, Dixieland Delight, you know that one?
I'm familiar with the song, I don't do that one.
We
Sure.
always do that one around a campfire too.
Okay, I got one more here, and then be on my way. Grew up in the 50s and 60s when doo-wop was popular, right at the advent of rock and roll. Doo-wop and Elvis, Jerry Lee, Fats Domino, those guys were all at the same time. But doo-wop was a little bit different kind of music. It was pretty melodic, and you'd see these groups hanging around street corners. Actually, if you went down to Detroit, it was back in the time when it was safe to drive around down there, and you would actually see guys out on the street corners. And doo-wop differentiates itself from hip-hop in that you can play doo-wop in front of your mother. So. And all that music was composed of 3 or 4 chords. A little arpeggio like this, real simple stuff. If you were a teenager back in that era, which I was, if you could play these chords in this arpeggio, you could play about half of the songs that were on the hit parade at the time. Unfortunately for me, I could not. Well, all these years later, I can play the chords on the arpeggios all night, but it doesn't seem to matter. All the girls are gone and the music has changed.
Why must I meet you in a secret rendezvous? Why must we steal away to steal a kiss or two? Why must we wait to do the things we wanna do? Why, oh why, oh why? Wish we didn't have to meet secretly. Wish we didn't have to kiss secretly. Wish we didn't have to be afraid to tell the world that we're in love. Why must we wait until we're dancing cheek to cheek to whisper all the words of love we long to speak? Why must our love be like a game of hide and seek? Why, oh why, oh why? Until we have the right to meet openly, till we have the right to kiss openly, guess we'll have to be content to be in love secretly. Well, if there's a lesson to be learned in all this, and there is, I tell the young people today, learn your chords and arpeggios early on. Don't procrastinate as I did. Thank you so much.
This song is called Past Regrets, Future Threats by Collab Nite.
Thinking what you said to me.
right, please welcome Rod.
A couple weeks ago, I was at a little open mic down at the lunch studio that Brian does. And he told me I should come over here because they were having a contest about songs about Flint. Yeah, I've written a ton of them.
Yay.
Sad thing is, most of them are pretty depressing. And I decided that what I was going to do was go home and write a song about something positive about Flint, something that's really nice about Flint that they can brag about. And I think this one fits the bill. It's called Hot Rod Heaven. Oh, this is Lee's arpeggio 4-chord sequence from the 60s. All the songs back then used this. Last night I dreamed I took a time machine back to 1966. I woke up on the street, downtown Flint, walking round back to the bricks. Gas was 32 cents a gallon then. There wasn't any EPA. People talked to each other instead of their cell phones. Troubles were far away. And there on the corner, right before my eyes, was a candy red GTO. I opened the door, sat in the bucket seat, clicked on the radio. The Beatles had 5 of the top 10 hits, but Elvis was still the king. And I can't get no satisfaction. 96 tears hang on Snoopy, this diamond ring. Hot Rod Heaven, I was there. There were hot rods everywhere. And every one of them was meant on the streets of downtown Flint. And all of a sudden, there was a pretty woman. I saw her standing there. She was just 17, if you know what I mean. She wore flowers in her hair. And everywhere I looked, there were happy people with laughter in their eyes. And then I had a Flint Coney dog, a Verner's, and a basket of fries. Hot Rod Heaven, I was there. There were hot rods everywhere. And every one of them was meant on the streets of downtown Flint. Last night I dreamed I took a time machine back to 1966. And I woke up on the street, downtown Flint, walking round and back to the bricks. And for just a few hours on a summer afternoon, it was 1966. For just a few hours on a summer afternoon, it was 1966. All right, just one of those depressing songs about Flint. I'm not a Flint native. I moved here in 2005. And about 3 years after I moved here, I was driving up Saginaw one day, and they were knocking down the spark plug factory up there on Davison and Dordt, AC spark plug or whatever it was. And I remember driving by there the first few years I lived here, there's always tons of people walking around on their break and everything. I thought, what the hell they tear that down for? But anyhow, I wrote a song about it. It's called Bulldoze Flat. There's a pile of rubble up on Addison and Dort. It used to be a factory as big as an army fort. And now it's just a pile of twisted steel and busted bricks. Drive by, I can't help but feel we're in an awful fix. The plant where I worked my whole life has just been bulldozed flat. And I can understand a lot of things, but I can't understand that. Where I worked my whole life has just been bulldozed flat. And I can understand a lot of things, but I can't understand that. They used to manufacture parts for GM cars. Up and down the street there were restaurants and bars. But now they're all closed down. The lots are full of weeds. The jobs have all been shipped away to workers overseas. My whole life has just been bulldozed flat. And I can understand a lot of things, but I can't understand that. They used to call it cradle to grave, but I guess they lied. Used to be the American dream. The dream got sick and died. And all the folks in Buick City were taken for a cruise. When everything is said and done, well, guess who's gonna lose? My whole life has just been bulldozed flat. And I can understand a lot of things, but I can't understand that. Well, there's a pile of rubble at Addison and Dort. Used to be a factory as big as an army fort. And now it's just a pile of twisted steel and busted bricks. When I drive by, I can't help but feel we're in an awful fix. My whole life has just been bulldozed flat. And I can understand a lot I don't know, 2-3 years ago, I was watching the news, which the local news can be very boring. It can be extremely interesting. And they had arrested some kid, and he shot and killed somebody, one of his neighbors. And they were talking to the police, and they was trying to get some kind of an explanation as to what happened. And the cop said that the kid told him that he shot this guy because he didn't have anything else to do. And I thought that was kind of an interesting concept. And nothing else to do, get bored, just go out and shoot somebody. On the northeast side of Flint, there was a murder. I saw the coverage on the evening news, and the young man who they claim pulled the trigger said I shot him 'cause I had nothing else to do. A crowd of people gathered in the background, kids watching the news van with wide eyes, and some woman said I knew that kid was trouble. And it didn't really come as a big surprise. When I was young, we often started fist fights. Sometimes we would wrestle just for fun, but never did I think I had any kind of right to settle a score against someone with a gun. To settle a score against someone with a gun. Well, every other day there's another shooting. Seems like it just keeps on getting worse. Sometimes it seems like all our hard-fought freedom has turned into some kind of a curse. When I was young, we often started fist fights. Sometimes we would wrestle just for fun. But never did I think I had any kind of right to settle a score against someone with a gun. Never did I think I had any kind of right to settle a score against someone with a gun. Thank you much.
There's many times.
This song is by one of my favorite bands, and it's called Bulletproof Love by Pierce the Veil.
It was the best time of my life, but now it's
next song I'm going to sing is called Bad Enough For You, and it's by All Time Low.
Oh my god, I already love it.
I slowed it down a little bit, but...
Okay.
No, I won't call you baby. I won't buy you daisies, 'cause that don't work. And I know how to make you want me. How to get... Can I start over?
Make you crazy.
Yeah. I'm gonna start that over. No, I won't call you baby. I won't buy you daisies, 'cause that don't work. And I know how to get you crazy, how to make you want me so bad it hurts. I wanna be good to you, but that's just not your type. So I'm gonna be bad for you tonight. I'll misbehave if it turns you on. No, Mr. Right, if you want Mr. Wrong. I'll tell you lies if you don't like the truth. I don't wanna be bad, I just wanna be bad enough for you. Hey, thanks for the number. I'm not gonna call you, 'cause that don't work. You like to play hide and go getter. You like me better when I play the jerk. Wanna be good to you, 'cause that's not your type. So I'm gonna be bad for you tonight. I'll misbehave if it turns you on. No, Mr. Right, if you want Mr. Wrong. I'll tell you lies if you don't want the truth. I don't wanna be bad, I just wanna be bad enough for you.
I'm just gonna switch to the ukulele.
You do got one of these songs. Yeah. Everybody waiting on you. Play that one all the time.
Thank you. And then the last song I'm going to sing is called Tim McGraw by Taylor Swift. Truck that had a tendency of getting stuck. read is when you think Tim McGraw. Hope you think my favorite song, the one we dance to all night long, the moonlight spotlight on me. You think happiness. Hope you think that little black dress. Hope you think that hat on your chest. In my old faded blue jeans when you think Tim McGraw. Hope you think of me, I'll think of me. You send away my blue eyes shine, put those Georgia stars to shame, then I say that's a lie. Thank you.
Earth monster. Stay away from the windows, Mom says. It's bad out. The breeze along Floral Street suddenly seems aware of itself. A single leaf waves from the outskirts of a dark, dark green, very lively individual. Is it the wind, or is it the tree, or is it the sky that lacks inhibition? Or is it simply the electricity and the soft rug beneath my bare feet? That and the story of the boy who will never laugh and do jumping jacks in the rain again as the legend lives on. Mom says, once you take that step out that front door, you will become bewildered. You will be in serious danger. The sky moans a terrifyingly deep skip between moans. Somewhere behind that tree, a helicopter loses steam inside a tornado that falls apart. The wash, the shimmer of leaves, the plight of the pilot and the pull of the greatest gravity and the volume of that. You're standing much too close to the window, Mom warns. The sky thumps through the heart. It will happen in an instant. You will be gone before you even know it's there. Moving on. The stone he remembers. He plucked the stone out from under the current of a narrow, cold creek, then forgot the experience entirely, forgot the marshy woods and the wet leaves, the quiet and the compulsion to discover something ancient and solid. He smoothed the stone in his hands, but he did not keep it. He picked a stone up off a beach of smaller stones and threw it in an attempt to skip it. This would be the one he remembers. He saved nothing. He borrowed everything. He shaped the borrowed world in his cold hands and tossed it back and watched it disappear inside a ripple on the surface of the water. Somewhere beneath the surface of the water, where no one breathes, lies that modicum of terrain. He remembers the chilled air and the slope of the steep hill before the tiny beach at the foot of his aunt's property. She died of breast cancer when he was 12, the year before the year of his bar mitzvah, the year before the difficult year of the stone. The skydivers, the wise guys, the rebels. I spotted them as they boarded the craft that took them very high and up above. They were chuckling at the same inside joke. No one had the nerve to tell them to get over it, to say that we have had enough of it already, so please just stop. The skydivers say there's nothing like it, again and again. They keep saying that once you do it, you get hooked, as their smiles brim with excellence. They like to think that the fear of jumping is a fear that is not based on reality, and that only those who are weighed down by stifling inhibitions are the ones who don't trust the backpack and the cord and the chute. They say there's a rapture to that first step out into the wilderness of weightlessness, and that this is part of a necessary process. And when I tell them that I understand their enthusiasm, but I am simply not interested, they regain their composure and take that inspiring step off the craft. They pose upright and in defiance, high above the sun-drenched mountains, where a distant city mingles with the ground like some sort of freckle. One of them says, "I love you, man." Another one says he only wants the best for me. I lie face up in bed where I inspect the grain of the ceiling. They are stars and they think they are perfect. Just changing gears a little bit, just thinking about the overall state of the world and about poverty and just thinking about that kind of thing. This is called The Same Earth. The earth appeared just like it always has inside its frame, its dimensions intact, the same amount of depth to perceive. He was in a place where no one can physically cross someone else's mind, as he imagined his imagination with a shallow breathing behind it, and looked out from those eyes. The sunlight gathered in the same place and gazed down on him in the same way. The warm air was blue, according to the sky. And crisp is not a color, and land is not a hunger, just more bare and less ripe. He imagined the absence of everything he needed, but could not physically take anything away from himself. The earth, as always, told only the most obvious stories, such as the one about water in the previous winter and the push behind the current weather, the one about short sleeves and the room inside his stomach and his reason for going back inside, as he once again crossed back over into the cool, waterfall-like air, the stillness that can only be found in the dead center of the storm.
No poems for me, but okay. Mind if I take? Can I can't? All right.
But you have to leave it when you're done.
Did you tell me to leave this when I leave?
That's right.
Okay. How's everybody doing? Everybody's fine? Everybody?
Halfway decent. A little hot.
Pretty halfway decent? Okay. Well, that's all right. Hey, well, like they just introduced me. My name is Carney Palmer. I'm from the Flint area.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all know y'all wanted to boo. Y'all wasn't booing? Nobody booed or anything like that?
No,
Y'all just love Flint.
no,
I love
yeah.
Flint. I like Flint.
Yeah.
Okay. Had to take a little hiatus for a little while. I was in the hospital.
Aww.
What happened?
Y'all wasn't there. Y'all didn't come see me, so why you ask? It wasn't important. No, I was in the hospital because I had an infection in my left foot. I lost 2 toes off my right foot, so you know, the complete package right here. So. And the thing about that is this: it seems like every time something happens to somebody, the funny part is everybody was like, "Oh, you should take care of yourself. Oh, you should take care of yourself." Yeah, this is a bunch of hypocrites because they're out smoking and they got high blood pressure and all this other kind of stuff, but you have to take care of yourself? That's crazy. And you know, I am a diabetic, and it just seems like everybody that sees me eat a candy bar, everybody wants to smack one out of my hand. And I'm like, okay, sweat pouring down my face. No man, you can't eat that, you can't eat that, you're not supposed to have sugar. I'm like, I'm almost dying here. No, you're gonna eat a candy bar, you're gonna get sick. I'm getting sick now. I'm falling out, sweating and everything like that. My blood sugar 16. Well, you should take better care of yourself. That's all I get. Oh my goodness. I was like, I was quite sure that was gonna work. Well, that's all right. Fine.
Mess with a guy with low self-esteem. That's all right. That's quite all right. Like I said, was that in low blood sugar too? Yeah. Yeah, but I'm originally from the Flint area, like I said. But the thing about that is this: Hurley Hospital, you know, not to knock them or anything like that, they kind of turn you into like a drug head. Because it seems like every little pain you get, they give you morphine or Demerol or all the good type of drugs. And it's just like, it just seems like it, you know, every 5 minutes you got an owl, you got a this, you got a that. And then I wasn't lucky enough to be on the machine. And everybody kept asking me, are you on the machine? What machine is this? Well, it's a machine where every time you feel pain, you press a button and in 5 minutes they give you medicine. And I'm like, no, they didn't give that to me. I had to call a nurse at midnight and kept asking her if I can have, was it 2 units of morphine? She wouldn't give it to me until about 6 o'clock that morning. So I was like, by that time I didn't need it. Still quiet. You know what? Forget all of y'all. You're just sitting there looking at me like, you know, I guess that's what I get for.
It's your hospital report, man.
It's my hospital report.
Taking it serious.
Taking it serious?
Yeah.
Is it too serious?
Oh, like, man, I hope he was okay.
Yeah. Everybody's feeling sorry for him. It's like, oh my God, he was on morphine. Oh my God, he was near death. Oh my goodness gracious, he's missing 2 toes off his right foot and he has a hole in his left foot. He has diabetes. Oh my God, he's bringing us down. Oh man, oh my God. He's gonna die in front of us. He has low blood sugar. Somebody save him, give him a candy bar. No, you shouldn't. You should take better care of yourself. You know, that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, man, I can't win for losing. I cannot win for losing. That is so crazy. I mean, I just got a poor life, that's all. No, but on a serious note, I do love Flint. I love this town, even though it makes it seem like I don't like it, which I don't. But I guess I do. I do now, though. But just to get real serious on it, it's like every performance that I come up here, I kind of think of my father, and I know that he's up there. He died in 2002 of prostate cancer. And I know I'm getting a little serious and emotional and stuff like that. This might be my last time coming up here because I think I fulfilled my dream. I think I did that. And I know he's up there right now looking down at me and smiling probably, or else he's probably saying, Dwayne, get off the stage. But one more thing about my father, and the thing that I remember so much about him, and then I'm gonna sit down, is that one time I grabbed a belt. Nobody knows what that means.
You know what grabbability is, don't you?
Perhaps, yeah. Don't forget, grab that pen, catch your words.
Y'all cards are gone. Your cards are gone. Your black cards are gone. You know what grab the belt is. When you grab the belt when you get come on, man, come on. Y'all just looking at me like.
Okay. You don't want to get hit by the belt, right? But you deserve to get hit by the belt according to the person wielding the belt. And then you catch that said belt before they can get another lick in, but that just infuriates them, right?
Thank you. Thank you. I knew you were black. Undabo. But anyway, I grabbed the belt, and it wasn't a very good experience because I wound up getting hit in the chest and knocked out for about a couple of days, but and I just woke up not too long ago, so then I found out that he passed on. But no, I'm just kidding. No, but in all seriousness aside, I dedicate all my performances to my father, even though they sucked. I'm not a perfectionist though, but I just feel that I should do better, and I can do better. But right now, I think I'm done. I am. So. Thank you.
I think you gotta applaud for him or something like that.
I haven't been on a stage in a while. I just wanted to talk to you about life. And just, like, things keep happening. That's the problem with life. Is that one thing happens, then another thing. Anyways, I wrote poems about it, so I'm going to read you poems.
All right.
I'm in the aftermath of disaster, wiped clean by all my scheming, living in the past and in half remembered dreaming. Those sunny days I wiped away, the tears like sunshine streaming. Those summer days led astray, the time in them was teeming. In retrospect, I wish I could have caught 'em, but when I sleep in dreams I keep a memory of autumn. Of glimmering cinder, tinder, sparkle, charcoal ignite, light on night, a sight to see, bright and free, a sea before me, imploring me to explore and see backlit leaves and grieving trees. Soon the sun will settle on this scene, displaying green and roses seen closing in the snow, cozy, frozen, grow thawed, in awe, but glum. So when I sleep, in dreams I keep a memory of autumn. Poem 2. I read a lot of poems about just getting involved with the wrong women, just like what a pain in the fucking ass that is. That's just terrible. And so that's what this one is about. And that's how I'll always think of you, lying there in the summer sun, all undone in fun. I stayed in the shade, that lonely glade I called my only home, homely loam that sprouted dead vines, harsh lines where I tried to till but still was vanquished by this thankless land. It offers not, it scoffs at demand. Blight, a broken spoke in my writer's kite, should be in flight, should alight seasons, freezing breezes and soar. Storied lore, explore the source, pores pour forth, course force through vein, objective obtain. No respect to be gained, no name to defend, just me and this hurt and this dirt till the end. That's how it is when you know a star. Still feel that heat no matter how far. Remind me of just how distant you are, and I will resist and resist restart. And just as the beat yet persists in my heart, and my memories drink for two in two parts, and the darts, those sharpened Cupid hearts, fly wide of my mind's eye and arc towards the mark, this telemetry, eminent target spark, needle point, sink it through, this ink that weighs a ton. And that's how I'll always think of you, lying there in the summer sun. Poem 3. Let's see if I remember this one. This is old. 75 arrived on 69 at Expressway Junction. And while his function was fine, the time that elapsed was not quite right, and the flight of the passage from exits on the right was eccentric with eclectic collapse. Highway drivers feel trapped in its maps. Oh, that's my city. Enjoy your stay till the lane of your destination races you away. But if you should peer closer, come more near than the patterns on glass, for though the city spins on its axis, the planet moves rectangular at its own angle. The stranglehold of those window panes still mangles with pain, the citizens living in the rubble of an economy left despondent when it amounted to burst bubbles. The cobblestone zone's a home to the ground downtown, where they try to lose litter, but lost is found, and human refuse that hoof through the street. Horseshoes lose bruises that bruise the tea to safes that aren't safe, but just as in danger as a cent of money when it runs funny from the veins of a stranger. But still, I'll be here, be here. I'll be here when the mirrors that face pretty places turn around, when that looking glass is smashed in complacence. I'll be in town to see it go down if it does. Until then, extend thoughts to what was. Or don't fuck that. Pass the mask and crash to the raps. Right now I'm downtown frowning at cats. Mean mugging like plugins fills the air. Whenever get pairs of drug-induced stares perforate with hate a distinct lack of sights under overcast skies that vie for black nights. So goes the roll of the urbanites. You can pick up a rake to make a change, forsaken where rubble is rearranged, or escape from that city that seems the same as trees when autumn leaves bereaved became. But first, come near enough, stuff stamina and ears and hear enough to say that you participated in the beat when it rises from sighs and footfalls from people on the street. For there's life here near to right fears, decaying like homes owning up to too many years. The roots beneath boots are green and they grow, and that spark in the dark and hearken to hope. The scope of this place is city vista complete. Come with me, road to feet. Let's see who we meet. Thank you.
You come back next month. I love the comedy. I'm sorry I don't laugh on the outside. On the inside, I'm cracking up. So I wrote a book in case I forgot, so that's always helpful. I don't have anything new, but I haven't performed in a few months because I don't have anything new. I figure it's probably been a season or something since you heard me, so that works.
The indigenous are endangered, and the sprawl's been known to swallow strangers like a jungle. With forked tongues, guerrillas gather on porcelain stages, scheming to feed that struggle. Now, respect rarely beats paid praises, not to pop your bubble, but talent is wasted. Poverty's been hyped as true life, and a steady job involves selling hazes. Born shivering with thick skin coat of pride, a hide stolen by skinny jean racists. Primal chic as destructive as invasives. And tattooed with assuming gazes, these hip poachers from the mainland define a preserved wasteland out of our brick lane stable. Pacifying kids in cages, drugged and bobbing, hooked on lines of cable. Sidewalk cafes serving status from the safety of reserved tables. As game, we live in haste, involved when we are able. Reclaiming cracks in pavement, using fame to feed the struggle, blaming systematic hustle, but the truth is only mumbled. Now, no one expects you to save us. Credit card chance for dreams, scrap pipes to make payments, think rumble, not flight. Invest in confidence, bank on true statements. If you catch my drift, you cannot fumble. Paychecks and pay flips phases, but the change, it's only subtle. We're horses reborn barrel. Surviving the dead of night, silent, foaming, careful. Seeing new dreams from all new sides with a blinding straight and narrow. You are here. Fight to rewrite maps and draw new arrows. The rotten power lines, line, tower and climb, but those who tripped and tumble. Look, spaced out heater huddles. The change, it's only subtle. Brick metals bloom with grit and grime, while Bando Forest house remains in rubble. Half towns are burnt alive, but it only feeds the struggle. We were born to blame the systematic hustle, born test rats for electric haterade, institutions bound to crumble. A habitat designed for breeding low-life scum and trouble, high-rise buildings taken as trophies, action children forced to stumble. Those sidewalk cracks are getting bigger, as more spirits haunt the trigger, as the victims clutch their fingers, fearful of their neighbors. Nothing works if everyone labors. The stabber hunted daybreak in darkness on safari for hope and swagger. We're wildlife to them. Beasts once tame, now lame or haggard. Our herds thinned out and staggered, but these predators can be captured. Like venomous snakes, their fables keep them raptured. They prey in grassy chapels, we pray, eat only apples, but they're fermented in a tonic. And we live drunk with the knowledge, sloshed from the moon, happy howling, cuckoo-ca-choo! My palate looks like this, with scowling. Your eyes are bejeweled, hollow points squeezed by ivory rings. There's blood on your shoes, young bucks like me with horns removed, egos bruised. The hunted, desperate, learn to see. The hungry, fed up, yearn to feed. That's what I give you that one.
Yeah. So I'm really, really excited about this Flint song thing that's going on for the next year. I think it's a cool competition, and I really appreciate Rod for coming up and doing his AC song. So I'm gonna do one, not the same, but it's called Ruin Porn. And it's cool because I wrote this a year or two ago when there was this house on the east side that somebody tried to scrap out, the gas wouldn't turn up and exploded, and that's the cool part. But it happened again a couple of weeks ago over on the south side, and so it's timely, it's very timely. It's called Ruin Porn. Perverts treat posted properties like prostitutes. Scrappers are sadists, proud of society like wrinkled panties heaped across bloody truck beds. Up the street, exploding houses surge with horror and amazement and ecstasy of gaslight fingering. The east side's horny hunger shows hard through no zones trading copper for money shots. Behind the rain-soaked blinds, walls been ripped down and ravaged by desperate Johns trying to keep up with the Joneses, drooling over curl-toe, clawfoot tubs and air ducts forced to give blowjobs.
A kneeling home's warped wood legs buckle last long after spear in the front porch. She condemns herself with cut and plug mascara caked on to distract from the pimp's hand slapping for sale by owner on her ass. The driveway gets shaded by lashes of overgrown branches. The basement trashed and rants with former tenants and cycles of entrapment. The soul leaves with flee before the body gets buried or smashed in. Tricks get stripped and teased in for closure, and no one seems to care that this is happening. So predictably, at childhood's end, ratty pigtails fray away and live wires stop sparking, but fiends still pay anyway. Leaving a busted frame barely standing, another forgotten address, soon to be erased from the tax rolls, dead inside, waiting like a bomb to be dismantled. And this one I kind of remember like the last one out of the way, so it's called No Rush. Lawns plastered with signs fighting to be seen. For sale, for lease, rent to own, first month free. In my hometown, there's so many choices on which place to be. In my head, it said there's just one life to live, I eat a flea, but fortunately for me, there's no rush. The city cemeteries are lush and might as well blink neon lights reading vacancy. This town may have, the car may have raised and razzed Buick City, but the irony is killing me. And all the basement Buddhists meditate under bloom cycle lights, making bucks, growing kush, thinking deeply about their own suffering. A generation of garbage pail kids born with broom in hand to clean up ancestral debris. Even though 8 people per day move away worry-free, they can't see anything left to save, just a broken tribe and an oil stain, and the sad part is they aren't far off. Because despite whatever happy face or staying here is more of a burden than a point of pride, or at least for the longest time, that's how things felt to me. Because despite whatever happy face I want to feign, or injustice, I could lock my door in ignorance and stress to change, there's just not much still standing that deserves the praise. A few pillared rows of half-burnt gutless homes, chess piece investment groves played out in downtown revival zones, and a few well-hidden hornets' hives where gaunt artists thrive in a daze, haunting the flower fields of their minds. A little buzzed, they spun out poetic phrase, softly composing cracks of lightning that lead to thunderous refrain. Jaws rattling behind, snake bite fangs. This is anti-venom spit, a mumbled rattle subwoofed into a wild howl, penetrating your unknown like lapping licks and inner shiver craze. These impassioned kids make clunky claims to fame, even though no one will ever know their names. Lives comparable to an upshot drop of water from a sprinkler sputtering as background noise to the pouring rain. But a magnet to metal, they're drawn here and have stayed, and I'll do the same until my roof caves in, or the motivation dissipates like smoke clearing from throwing ink at expectations, throwing out poems like pinballs, grenades. Thanks for bearing with me. Bill.
Howdy. I don't think many of you were here last time, which is a good thing, because it's about to get weird. So you should leave now if you don't want to hear this. But yeah, normally like I like to do, I'm gonna do like a fusion of different types of things, and for some reason the other day, it wasn't the other day, it was actually yesterday, I was partaking in some cannabis with a couple of my friends, and we're like a bunch of weird thinkers. I don't know, we get high and like the craziest things just end up in our conversations, and yesterday I had this like really, I feel like, transcending type idea. So it basically involves something that all of us know really well. Penises. Just to be quite frank about it, talking about penises now. So it's kind of weird because for some reason I'm like stoned and I'm thinking like, man, like how cool would it be if like every artwork I just sat on the corner and just was like whittling wooden dicks, like small like handheld wooden dicks, and just make them out of wood, just be sitting there in the corner. Everybody else is like doing like kid art and shit. I'm just there with like, I'd have to like keep my stock like hidden though too. Like it'd have to be like a blanket underneath all the wooden dicks, and like you'd have to show me your ID and then you could like check my goods underneath the blanket. So it's a little peep show, but I mean, for art, it's art. It's not to arouse. It's not to arouse, it's just surely for art. But I can't deny the fact that I could imagine that there's like some women and some men who would probably just like to have like a little pocket penis, sort of like a stress ball. Like, you know, you're just feeling a little anxious, and just like somewhere you're not really feeling too comfortable, you just put your hand in your pocket and you just play with a little dick. I mean, I think a lot of people would like that. I mean, personally, I'm not gonna lie, I think I'd find some enjoyment in making them. I mean, because let's be honest, I mean, I don't know a man who hasn't masturbated. And I thought one day to myself when I was doing it, like, how much of it am I being aroused by touching a dick? I mean, there's a dick in my hand, it's my own dick, but still, like, how much is that turning me on? Am I into that, or is just I still haven't figured it out yet, and I'm not really interested in it, but I'm gonna transcend that into Whittling Dixies. And that's gonna be the name, like D-I-C-K-I-E-S, Whittling Dixies. And I'm gonna be whistling Dixie while I do it. Just to add to the weirdness of it, but I'm glad that there's no more little kids here, because I was really hoping to get a chance to share that with y'all. But I wasn't gonna pervert the clean minds. Clean minds. So that was like one of the things I was thinking about for some reason. And I'm actually going to do that. So if you see me at the next artwork sitting in the corner with a blanket and a piece and a knife in my hand, don't be concerned. It's just wooden dicks. It's just I'm just whittling Dixies. Come by, stop by, check my dicks out, and you can touch them if you want. I mean, so yeah, I know you're gonna be there. And so then from that, I'm gonna segue into a poem. Let's see, which one am I gonna do?
What about dicks?
I don't have any dick poems. It's just something that it's like a shameful guilty pleasure to think about. It's like nobody likes to no heterosexual man likes to sit around catching himself thinking about dicks, but sometimes it just happens. There's not really much you can do about it. But I haven't got to the point where I'm making poems yet. I'll be sure to make my first dick poem published on the stage here.
Cool.
So which one am I going to do first? I think I'm going to do this one that involves me doing this. I just had fucking 4 of them lined up in my head, and now it's just blam, all gone.
Thinking about Dixies.
Dude, the power of penis, man. It's it gets. Oh yeah, speaking of, anyway, I'm not gonna go there. So.
You should make whistle dicks.
Oh,
wow, that actually. Thank you. I think Terry's my new partner in Whittling Dixies now.
Silent partner.
Silent partner.
Whittling, whistling dicks.
There's actually a festival in Japan that's dedicated to penises. And they make these huge statues and they just walk around the street dancing around penises. Imagine this is a huge dick and they're just they don't do the last part. That was just something I felt like doing. But yeah, hold on. God damn, I can't think of a poem right now. I swear I could just do dick jokes for the next 20 minutes.
Give us some for your album.
Oh yeah, that thing that's never coming. Oh yeah. This one's going to be dedicated to all of you people stuck. And that's the majority of us because we all gotta pay bills. But think about it like this. I can't believe we find this way of life suitable, spending 5 days, 9 to 5 trapped inside of a cubicle, adding up Roman numerals just to get your paper up to bandage up these paper cuts. Because the minute you get it, it's gonna slip through the tight grip of your bone dry palms and left a slit on the inside of your forearms. But still, the mentality goes on. Till our minds are frozen, like the dinners we eat that swear that their nutrition is complete. With all the cardboard-filled meat, the future does look bleak. If this is all we have left to enjoy, some tact must be deployed for balance to be restored. I swore I put down my sword, but Lord, if it's not meant, show me another method which hasn't already been spent. And that's the way that goes. Because honestly, I view this trouble that we're going through in our society and the daily struggle that we all know too well is a self-perpetuating thing. It's we know money sucks. We know we want to get away from it, but yet there's not many people in here who don't have an end goal of making more money. And very scarcely do I actually see people who use it as a means to an end. The majority of people I know, they think of getting, further in life and successful as a means to more means. But then it's just more money, more problems. But then you're gonna get more money and then still complain about how you hate money, but you're spending 9 to 5 every day working for money. And I know we need money to eat. We need money for shelter, we need money for water, for electricity, but that's only if you're living in the system. There's such thing as growing your own food, being a vegetarian, that actually could be kind of cool. But we rather not do that. We want to use microwaves and call McDonald's to deliver us a cheeseburger at 6 o'clock in the morning. And so that's the reason why shit sucks. Granted, there's a lot of people who are in control who aren't doing the right thing, but at the end of the day, the system does not flourish without participation from all of us. So that being said, I am going to try to think of another dick joke to lighten the mood. And I'm trying to do this thing where, probably not dick joke, I was thought about doing a vagina joke, and I thought it would kind of be a white guy doing the black joke. So I was walking down the street and I saw this group of nigglets. It really wouldn't kind of come up to me because I feel if I try to do vagina jokes because it might be insulting to females. But being a dude with a dick, I could do that all day. But I'm not, so instead what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plug this in.
That was a good revelation you just had on stage.
Yeah, I guess. done this out loud yet, so it might not come off exactly right. But I'm gonna try my best. There's quite a little bit of a long intro, so I'm just gonna sit here and make my quiet voice and just speak to you like it's a lullaby. But it's loud. It's really loud. I always said that would never be me being sucked into acting up these actions. I guess I got brainwashed by the queen bee, but I'm still the one who let it happen. Unfortunately, so I really got no one to blame, no one to blame, no one to blame but me. Even though it started off good, eventually got corrupted. Took a young boy who was unsure, combined with a genie, the dog that he trusted, and that's where the story ends. It begins depending on perspective. It's a lose a win, we all got a tailspin like Sonic Swim. Well damn, let mine continue then. That's actually the end of that one, because I haven't got any further on it, but and then here's one from a really long time ago. There's probably this group called El Zayan. They're like, I think from Peru. It's really like avant-garde pop, not jazz, but not even like pop. I don't know. You'll hear it for yourself in a second. Oh, and I just mixed my cue, talking shit. One more time, give me like 15 more seconds. Mildly morphing, while my body's contorting. Change my frame, while my brain's transforming. Exercise my demons, massage my mind. Paranoid thoughts of me, running out of time. Tumbling like somersaults in the gymnasium. I think I left a couple screws loose in my cranium. Damage has been minimized, but psychosis runs rampant. That's when all of my antics and my actions became frantic. Started dancing with the devil while he played heavy metal. Am I a slave or a rebel? I don't know. Is this really in control? Or is this all for the show? For the show? For the show? Damn, I just want more. That I never have, I'll be ever glad to leave this place one day, but until then I gotta say my amazing grace, cause I am sure glad to be here, even with all this fear and anxiety inside of me. I know there's gotta be a dichotomy, cause I love myself at the same damn time. Oh wait, this old rhyme is nothing but a little freestyle now. I kinda forgot whatever it was that I did write down. You can't laugh in the middle of my freestyle. But anyway, yes, there it goes. And I'm sweating like a hugger in a church, or a live person lying in a hearse, about to get buried alive. They used to put bells next to your grave in case you was inside. Yeah, okay. Boom. Ooh.
Thank you.
All right, give it up for Carlton. All right, and I think that does it for our evening. Thank you all for coming out. Good stuff. We'll see you next month. In the meantime, spread the word. And that's it. Oh, come to the meetings that aren't here. Creative Alliance, regular meetings, every Wednesday, 7 p.m.
Churchill's.
Thank you all. Churchill's, sorry.
Except for the third Wednesday.
Churchill's, no.
Coffee in there.